Hi all, let's have a look at a World Cup game. Alexey Dreev against Magnus Carlsen. So this is being played in Georgia, this tournament. 128 of the leading players in the world are playing in this, including the world champion, and that's a little bit unusual. So the world champion doesn't have to enter it. It's a qualifier to challenge the world champion, after all. But anyway, it's great that he has. It adds to the fun. Dreev playing white plays d4. Magnus plays d5. We have c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4. This is the queen's gambit declined, Ragozin defense. So it's a kind of hybrid of a Nimzo Indian and a queen's gambit declined. Knight f3, knight f6, bishop g5. And this is the most popular move here, h6. White often is giving up the bishop. That's the main move. Queen b3. This is a little bit rarer than e3. This has been seen a bit. c5. This position has been seen quite a bit. So this immediate queen b3 is a little bit unusual. c5. And now we have c takes, e takes, and it's a little bit dangerous for white to take this pawn. It's a bit of a gambit, but it's a pretty strong one. I'll give you an example. Knight c6 with the idea of bishop e6, so shielding b7. E3, bishop e6, and black can even castle queenside, and it seems black ends up being slightly better, even if he has double pawns here. This is better for black. So white doesn't take that d5 pawn. White plays a3, and we have now bishop takes, queen takes, and now c4, releasing the tension. It seems that pawn is undermined immediately, but bishop e6. Magnus is very good. I've seen in a lot of games he often does a tension, releasing move to try and get a strong passed pawn for endgame scenarios. So he's storing up already for the endgame, basically. Knight e5, black castles, e3, knight c6, bishop e2. We have knight takes e5, and now queen g6, white castles. And now a very clever move. Can you see what Magnus played in this position if I give you 5 seconds, starting from now? Okay, d4. Magnus is trying to store up an endgame advantage of a protected passed pawn. After e takes, there he's got a protected passed pawn and a nice blockade at the moment. Now, yeah, tense position. If queen takes, actually black's better with this tempo gain. It's an even better version. It's a strong passed pawn there. So yeah, it's white does seem to have passed pawn mobility in the centre though, which he tries to support. Bishop f3 before black plays bishop d5. That's pretty important as well. Rook aca, queen e3. Now queen g5, yeah, d5 looked imminent, but this is like a stored endgame advantage. Magnus has wrestled from the opening this b3 pawn. Rook ab1, queen takes, rook fd8, keeping d5 at bay, and sacrificing b7 here. Very interesting. But now black's rooks are quite active, and this is becoming a critical position. d5 is played here. Did Magnus overlook this? d5. It looks like a clever trick based on the pin. It looks like a major thing to overlook if it was. If bishop takes, we have this nasty pin, and that's winning for white. Okay, so rook c3, d5. So sorry, coming back to this position. So basically, bishop d7 was played. And okay, is that pawn a killer? Hasn't white got some central pawn mobility? White plays now rook f4. And now here, yeah, it seems the threat is to surround the pawn with rook b4. Get rid of this pawn. Yeah, if Magnus played this, rook b4, it should be, this scenario should be about equal, but Magnus stopped rook b4 here. He's trying to maintain that endgame edge, that potential dangerous asset for the endgame. Now white's best here, it seems, is d6. He didn't play this. d6 seems plausible. You might not think so because of this forcing move, and then b2, right? Because of rook c1. This looks pretty nasty. But actually white can play rook takes f7 in this scenario, and if here can even take there, because here there's bishop e4 check, sting at the end of the tell. So it does seem technically possible, d6, but black is fine here with bishop e6. Doesn't go for rook b8. Bishop e6, black is fine. He's got that strong pass pawn still, so black's still in the driving seat here. It's a nice blockade. It's a very pleasant position for black. So anyway, in the game though, we see king f2, and this is, it seems like a mistake. After rook b8, white is in a little bit of bother here with this bishop and this pawn and this possibility of playing for rook c1. If bishop a6, b2, just to show, yeah, without the rook being able to come back as well, it seems more unpleasant, this idea of rook c1. So say here, now here actually rook c1, there is bishop d3, but even there rook b3 and it's dangerous. There might even be an improvement though, this first, and then rook c1 coming. So yeah, this is all pretty unpleasant. White perhaps in time trouble as well. You know, he plays this, and now yeah, Magnus has still got his dangerous pawn. It's equal on pawns, 3, 5, but white's pawns are more fragmented. Rook d4 check, b2 threatening rook c1. That's parried, but now rook b5, and you see that the pressure here is too much. White is losing a pawn here. After a4, rook takes e5, check, king h7, and the game ended here. Now, yeah, this is not a mad sacrificial game that I usually really relish going over, but it does show something quite interesting about Magnus Carlsen, that from the opening, and I think it was an innovation, he played the opening quite innovatively. He actually got a very good endgame trump card, which he persisted with throughout the game, and did ultimately lead to win the game. So it was very, very interesting. Sort of, you know, Capablanca-like game, basically, you know, playing for a very strong endgame. So yeah, he beats Alexey Dreev in the first of their encounters in round 2. So hope you enjoyed this, got something from it. Comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. Thanks very much.